Hey guys, it's Supa here. So I've seen this question being asked around in the community quite a lot, and in fact someone recently reached out to me in Discord and asked me about this question as well, and that question is, how should you be using your legendary dragon eyes? So just to preface, I just want to say that whatever I'm about to say here is just only going to be some general guidelines and general tips, but when it comes to using a resource like your legendary dragon eyes, there really is no one-size-fits-all solution, and you do need to have some contextual understanding of your account in order to make an informed decision. So what I do recommend is that after you watch this video, if you need advice on how to use your dragon eyes, you should additionally ask in the Infinite Magicraid Discord, send a screenshot of your roster so players can see what characters you have and allow them to give you advice on what to use them on. So anyway, let's get right into it. So first of all, if I just want to let players know, if some new players don't know, you can save 10 epic dragon eyes and it will function the same as one legendary dragon eye. Additionally, you can only use legendary dragon eyes on regular legendary characters, so that means that limited time heroes like Irato, Apsara, Nicolith, and so on cannot use legendary dragon eyes to raise their exclusive. So the way to tell if they're a limited time hero is to search in the gallery. You can search something like Nicolith, and when you click on her, you can see it is a time limited hero. So that's how you can tell whether you can use eyes on them or not. So anyway, to the main topic at hand, let's talk about who should you be using your eyes on. So first of all, I want to cover one important tip which I feel some players do not know, and that is to save your legendary dragon eyes until you can get the desired exclusive that you need. So let's talk about a character which is pretty weak without the exclusive. So let's talk about maybe something like Shaorin. So Shaorin is a decent character even at lower exclusives, but her exclusive tree is a really big deal and massively increases her damage. So before exclusive tree, she's just she's good but nothing special, and then when she gets her exclusive tree, she becomes a lot stronger. And so what I recommend is that you do not use your eyes on a character which is similar to this, which has like a specific exclusive to power up. Do not use your eyes until you have enough of them to immediately level the exclusives to that amount. So if that's not clear, what I mean is, like I said, Shaorin really needs her exclusive tree to start ramping up in terms of damage and utility. And in that case, I would not use any eyes on Shaorin at all until I have 3 legendary dragon eyes, in which case I can immediately bring her to exclusive tree. So if you're wondering why I recommend you do this, let's consider a scenario such as, let's say you get Marcus as your first legendary hero on your brand new account. So Marcus is a really strong character, right? And she does good damage, but she really needs her exclusive tree for all this additional utility, and her exclusive tree also gives her a lot more damage. And so her exclusive tree is really, really important. So even though Marcus is a really good character on her own, I wouldn't recommend that you use her legendary eyes on her until you can get her to exclusive tree in one go. And the reason for that is because it takes a long time for you to get these 3 legendary dragon eyes, right? As a new player, you only get like 1 at the very start in the beginner quest, and then subsequently the next 2 eyes will take quite a long time to obtain. So within that time that you take to obtain the remaining eyes that you need, you may end up getting a better character. So for example, within the time you are saving these 3 legendary eyes, you may end up getting a character like Lance, right? And Lance, in most cases, is just strictly better than Marcus, right? So Lance does more damage, he's better in PvP content, he's better in PvE content. So if you happen to get Lance while you're saving your eyes for your Marcus, you can immediately pivot, and then now you know, okay, I've been saving the eyes for Marcus, but now I can just use them on Lance instead. So if you use your eyes immediately as you get them, which is what I advise you not to do, then maybe you start with Marcus, as I mentioned earlier. When you get your first legendary dragon eye, you use it to get Marcus to exclusive 1, and then while you're saving for your next 2 eyes, you end up getting Lance. So now you are in some sense behind by 1 eye, so you've somewhat wasted an eye on your Marcus, and now you need to save an additional legendary dragon eye to get Lance to exclusive tree. You also may end up summoning copies of the character you're trying to raise the exclusive of while you're saving for a specific character. So that's even more the reason why you should save your eyes until you can raise that character's exclusive to the desired exclusives in one go. Of course, just as an additional note, it's important for you to identify what exclusive your character needs, right? So they may not always need something like exclusive tree. So one example, if I just look at what I have and I can find something which matches. So for example, Penny, right? So Penny, her main exclusive is exclusive 2 because it gives speed up 2. And more importantly for PvP, you get this effect where your stun, hypnotize, or freeze is unable to be cleansed. So this is the main exclusive for her. And her exclusive 3 is still very solid, but the main one is exclusive 2. And after that, for most players, if you have other characters that you want to raise the exclusive of, you can immediately go on to the next character. So Penny is a good example where you identify that the exclusive you're saving for is exclusive 2, so you only need 2 eyes instead of 3 in order to raise her exclusive. So next, I guess this is another big question players have is, what should you raise? Which character should you focus on to raise the exclusive? So as I mentioned in the start of this video, there's no one-size-fits-all solution, but I'll just give some general advice. So most players would refer to a tier list and then they'll see which characters are at the top of the tier list and then choose to use their eyes on that character. So this is actually, for the most part, a safe way for you to decide which character to use your eyes on, right? So let's say Lance usually at the top of legendary hero tier list, right, for non-limited time heroes, and rightfully so. So if you get Lance and then you want to use your eyes because he's at the top tier list, it makes sense. Same with a character like Ans, right? Ans at exclusive 3 will be very good for you in both PvP and PvE. But then, if you strictly follow tier lists, you may see a character like Jocelyn, right? Jocelyn is maybe still definitely one of the top tier legendary heroes, and you will definitely see her at the higher end of tier lists. However, it is important to understand that Jocelyn is, even though she has this attack tag, she is primarily a direct damage support. So she needs her exclusive 3 primarily for this speed up 2, and then she does all these other effects which will boost your team's damage, right? But in order to get the maximum value out of Jocelyn, you do need a strong direct damage dealer to use alongside her. In most instances, this would be Marie, or it could be a Jingle Bell, or it could even be a Dharma. But the main point I'm trying to bring across is that as a newer player, chances are you don't have the tools to support a character like Jocelyn. So even though you see Jocelyn at the top of some tier lists, it is not the right decision for you to raise her exclusives at the early stages of the game, because you won't get much value out of her until you have a team to use alongside her. So once again, comparing that to someone like Lance, Lance is strong on his own, right? So much easier, and it makes more sense for you to use your eyes on her, especially in the earlier stages, because he's like a one-man army. He can do damage by himself. He's good in PvP and PvE by himself. Of course, when you have the tools to support him, he gets even better, but on his own, he's still a very good option. Ans is a similar character in that regard, very strong on his own. Of course, if you have characters which work with him, he's even better. So, safe option to use your exclusives on. So the main focus for this point I'm trying to make is that you must understand if your character is strong by itself or not, or if you need tools tools or other heroes to use alongside that character. And if that's the case, if you don't have it, then obviously it's not worth raising the exclusives. So I think one final example, which is probably the biggest example I can give, is Dianmu and Indra. So Dianmu and Indra, obviously most players should know, especially if you're experienced, very, very strong combo together. So this is Dianmu, this is Indra. So both characters together are extremely, extremely strong for PvE content, but individually, they aren't very strong, right? Indra is very weak individually. Dianmu isn't that great individually. Some utility of speed up to and stun for PvP content, but individually, not very strong. So if you have both of them, then yeah, by all means, you should be using your eyes on the Dianmu-Indra combo. But if you only have one character, let's say I have Dianmu and I don't have Indra, then using eyes on my Dianmu is going to be a complete waste, especially if I have better options to use my eyes on. So you need to be very strategic and think of what each individual characters you're considering using your eyes on does, and if they will bring value to you just by itself, or do you need a team to function with this character, like I mentioned for Jocelyn. So you need to have an understanding of the characters itself, and don't just blindly follow tier lists and see, oh, Jocelyn is very high on the tier list, that means I should use my eyes on her, especially as a new player. So be very careful. You guys obviously don't want to waste your legendary dragon eyes. That's why you've been asking this question a lot. And yeah, like I said one last time, just ask the Discord, send a picture of your roster. It's the best way to get advice specific to your needs. And And yeah, even if you don't get a reply, like just send it again, someone will get to you eventually. So yeah, that's all I have for today. Hopefully this answers some questions which I have been receiving. So yeah, I hope this was useful, and I'll see you guys next time.